Welcome to Ananya Trust. This school felt less like a school and more like a family that is learning and growing together. This school also made me rethink the student and teacher hierarchy that is so concrete in mainstream schools. Come spend a day with me at Ananya Trust to reevaluate our own expectations towards education. Here, the students start their day by taking care of their environment and surroundings.
One of the first and foremost things that we think or we believe in is that every child is unique, and every child has a unique goodness in them, a unique beautiful person in them, and we want to sort of help that unique or beautiful person grow in every child. Any school, anyone who is working with children always come with a good intent. Nobody is wanting to have a child, nobody wants a child to fail or wants a child to not do well. Everybody wants the children to do well. They want them to grow up, they want them to be responsible citizens, individuals who are successful in their life. But the path we take, sometimes we assume things, and that's where mistakes happen. If we assume that a child can only do this, or a child is supposed to do only this, then we start setting up the child for disappointment and setting ourselves up for disappointment. If we have an open mind to let the child explore and make their own choices, own decisions, and trust them with it, maybe this world would be a much different place. And that is Ananya's one such endeavor that strives to do this. We create a space for the children to be themselves here.
As I walked around, I noticed a beautiful bond among students, unlike the normal competition that we generally get to witness in schools. The children here come from in and around Bangalore, and some of the children come from very abusive households, which makes this safe and loving environment almost a necessity for their well-being. But how and why did this school start?
How it started with Dr. Shashi Rao, who is our founder trustee, who had gone to the US to do a PhD in education. While studying the state of education across the world and then reflecting on it as to how education happens in India, she wanted to do a lot of things, and she wanted to transform the lives of children from disadvantaged backgrounds especially. So after her PhD in education, she decided not to stay back there and decided to come back to India and work with children from really difficult backgrounds. She started working with these children on the streets. Around the same time, there was another organization called the Alternative Law Forum, which was an organization made of young lawyers who were trying to fight injustice in the country by doing their own service to the nation, and how they would work pro bono for people who needed legal help but had no financial means to get it. So they came upon these children who were foisted false cases on by the police, and they would go fight for them. So many a times they would get these children out, and then they realized what was happening was the same children were caught by the police again, and it was an endless cycle. So they felt the only way this can end is by actually getting these children into an education system or into a proper space which is more stable for them, a stable environment. They got to know that Shashi was working with the children as well, so they decided to work with Shashi. They came and approached her and said, if we help you, can we have these children under your guidance, under your care? Shashi was more than willing, and so it's slowly, where she used to meet them in public places, she started meeting in a small garage in near her own home, 1 or 2 rooms in her home, and then we got some space, sort of a tin shed around Alsur area, and there she started working with these children along with few others. Priya, who was one of our trustees, some of the teachers who have been with us for a long time, and slowly our team of staff also grew. She started working with these children, and they started loving this so much. They spent lesser time on the streets and more time in what we call as Ananya now.
4, breathing out, 1, 2, 3, 4.
I think you can only truly understand a school if you spend time and speak to the students there. So, I did just that.
Yes, Ananya is very nice. Caring school.
This school they will care nicely. They not beat. They not scold like hardly. They be like a family and
They will
friends.
be very soft to us.
Yeah, they will care lots of. That's why we love to come. We choose this school.
If we will ask so many time question, they will tell. They will not scold. You don't understand. If we ask any time, they will tell.
I think.
They should talk like so close and nice, like not first only should not be rudely. They should like understand.
They will not
if
be
we are
like
not understanding
teacher.
like
They
that.
will be friends like that. Another school means they will be only all subjects. If want take that only. Here no, we were our choice. We can take any subject. That is
We can
for
choose
us.
any subject we want.
After there will be another school. There will be any time exam test or here no.
They will give time here, like 1 year you can study and then you can give exam, and we can take any subjects in exam. So like in another school they will like give you have to write this year this exam and that year that exam, but in here like we can choose and we can write, and any subject we want we can choose. That's education. And learning from each other, that's also education. And teaching each other, like what we don't know we have to teach them or learn from them, that's also education for me.
So, Ananya is an alternate school. It's completely different from mainstream, where in the mainstream you see everything is standardized. Like, the syllabus is fixed. The child has to learn so much before he or she can move on to the next grade or class. But in Ananya, we don't have classes at all. So we only have groups. And there are no exams. There's an ongoing assessment that happens in the classes, so we know where the child stands in the at what level, at what stage the child is. So accordingly, we customize the curriculum for them. So there is no standardized textbook, or there is no pressure on the child that he or she has to finish this before he moves to the next group. So actually, the child doesn't even realize that there is a hierarchy in the groups. So it's all mixed age groups, and even though we know, teachers know that it is based on their level of learning, but the child doesn't realize that. We make sure that the child doesn't know, and he's just happy, he or she is just happy learning things. So I think that is the main difference. No classes, no grades, no exams, and the child is given space to learn at its own pace. There is no pressure on the child as such that you have to finish this much in this limited time. So we know a child cannot learn if he or she has a lot of baggage, in the family. They come from a lot of difficult background. They come from a difficult background, so they carry a lot of baggage when they come here. So academics becomes the last thing on their mind. So they, right now we have a girl who sees her mother being abused at home all the time by the father. So even though she is here in the school, she is thinking about her mother only, like what is going to happen to her, what if something happens to her. So we can't expect her to do well academically, right? So that has to be first, what do you say? That has to be first dealt with, and then only we can. And also the child should be empowered. We also sometimes there is a situation where we can't change the family. I mean, parents, it's not for us to change sometimes. It's not easy, right? So that time we can empower the child to face the situation at home, make her strong, more strong, and empower her so that she can cope with situations like that. That is also a learning, that is also a way of approaching.
And it is this idea of empowerment that they have integrated into the curriculum by having committees that are in charge of areas such as education, environment, and culture. They are made in charge through a voting system, and they have weekly meetings to evaluate their goals and progress. Here is a sneak peek into their meeting.
ಹೇಗೆ ನಡೀತಿದೆ ನಿಮ್ದು ಗಾರ್ಡನ್, ಕಿಚನ್ ಗಾರ್ಡನ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಹೇಗಿದೆ? ನೋಡ್ಕೋತಾ ಇದಾರ ಮಕ್ಕಳು?
ಮಕ್ಕಳೆಲ್ಲ ನೋಡ್ಕೊಂತ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಹಾ ಆಂಟಿ, ಹೌದು. ವಾಟರ್
ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಒಂದೊಂದು ಇದು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ ತಾನೆ,
ಮಾಡಿದೀವಿ, ಗಿಡ ಎಲ್ಲ ಹಾಕಿದೀವಿ.
ಒಟ್ಟಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾರೋ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಟೇಕಿಂಗ್ ಕೇರ್. ನಾನು ಮಾಡಿದೆ,
ಎಲ್ಲ ಮಕ್ಕಳು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೀವಿ.
You're taking care, right? You decide, okay? Next.
ಎಜುಕೇಶನ್.
ಇನ್ನೇನು ಕಲ್ಚರ್ ನಿಮ್ದು ಕಲ್ಚರಲ್ ಡೇ ಇಲ್ಲ?
ಆಂಟಿ ಕಲ್ಚರಲ್ ಡೇ ಇದು ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು, ಚಿಲ್ಡ್ರನ್ಸ್ ಡೇಗೆ ಟೈಮ್ ಜಲ್ದಿ ತಿಂದು
ಇನ್ನು 14
ಇನ್ನ ಇದೆ ಟೈಮ್.
ವೀಕ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ.
2 weeks ಇದೆ ಆಂಟಿ, ಹೆಂಗ್ ಮಾಡೋದು? ಆಂಟಿ ಕುಂಫು
ಆಂಟಿ
यहाँ का बहुत अलग है। वहाँ बिहार में पढ़ते थे ना, हम लोग बिहार के हैं, तो वहाँ कुछ और अलग था, यहाँ कुछ और। यहाँ बहुत अच्छा लगा हमको। वहाँ जो है ना, जब बच्चा लोग गया स्कूल और उसके बाद वो हाजिरी बना दिए, जैसे बुक में वो हाजिरी बनता है ना, वो बना दिए। उसके बाद अपना मैडम लोग बैठ के गप मारे, बच्चे लोग कूद खेल रहा है। कुछ भी नहीं सिखलाते थे वहाँ, खाली क्लास हो गया बात करते। ऐसा है, इसलिए हम भी पढ़े, लेकिन उतना हमको नॉलेज, पढ़ाई नहीं हुआ तो क्या पढ़े, नॉलेज ही नहीं हुआ हम लोग का इतना। तो बच्चे लोग है आप, तो उन लोगों को तो निकालना ही है ना, कैसे करें।
I asked a teacher here who has taught in Ananya Trust from the very beginning what she believes are the biggest differences between Ananya and other regular mainstream schools.
ಅದರ್ ಸ್ಕೂಲ್ಸ್ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ಬೇರೆ ಸ್ಕೂಲಲ್ಲಿ ಬರೀ ಟೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಬುಕ್ ಟೀಚ್ ಇದೆ, ಬಟ್ ನಮ್ಮ ಸ್ಕೂಲಲ್ಲಿ ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಬುಕ್ಗಳನ್ನು ರೆಫರ್ ಮಾಡಿ ನಾವು ಅದನ್ನು ಹಾಡಿನ ಮೂಲಕ, ಕಥೆ ಮೂಲಕ ಮತ್ತು ಆಟದ ಮೂಲಕನೂ ನಾವು ಮಕ್ಕಳಿಗೆ ಪಾಠ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ಇದರಿಂದ ಬೇಗನೆ ಮಕ್ಕಳು ಪಿಕಪ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ದೇ ನೀಡ್ ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ದೇ ನೀಡ್ ಲವ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಕೇರ್. ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಬೇಕಾಗಿರೋದು ಲವ್ ಮತ್ತು ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಕೇರ್ ತಗೊಳ್ಳೋದು. ಯಾಕಂದರೆ ಅದು ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಸಿಗಲ್ಲ. ಅದನ್ನು ನಾವು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಟೀಚರಾಗಿ, ಒಬ್ಬ ತಾಯಿಯಾಗಿ ಅವರನ್ನು ನಾವು ಅವರಿಗೆ ನೋಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಬರೀ ಟೀಚರ್ ಮತ್ತು ಮಕ್ಕಳ ಸಂಬಂಧ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಒಬ್ಬ ತಾಯಿ ಮತ್ತು ಮಗುವಿನ ಸಂಬಂಧನ ನಾವು ಈ ಸ್ಕೂಲಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಕೊಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಅದರಿಂದ ಅವರು ತುಂಬ ಖುಷಿಯಾಗಿ ಈ ಸ್ಕೂಲಲ್ಲಿ ಓದ್ತಾರೆ, ಬರೀತಾರೆ. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಅವರು ತಕ್ಷಣ ನಾವು ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಓಕೆ ಇವಾಗ ನಮಗೆ ಇದು ಇಷ್ಟ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂದರೆ ಓಕೆ ಯಾವುದು ಇಷ್ಟ ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಅರ್ಥ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಂಡು ಅವರಿಗೆ ಅದರ ಮೂಲಕ ನಾವು ಹೇಳ್ಕೊಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಆವಾಗ ಮಕ್ಕಳು ನಮ್ಮ ಜೊತೆ ತುಂಬಾ ಅಡ್ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಕಲಿತಾರೆ. ಈಗ ಒಂದು ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಅಂದಮೇಲೆ ಅವ್ರು ಡಿಫ್ರೆಂಟ್ ಲೆವೆಲ್ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ. ಒಂದು 5-10 ಮಕ್ಕಳಿದ್ದಾಗ ಅವ್ರು ಡಿಫ್ರೆಂಟ್ ಲೆವೆಲ್ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ. ಒಬ್ಬರು ಫಾಸ್ಟಾಗಿ ಕಲಿತಾರೆ, ಒಬ್ಬರು ಸ್ಲೋ ಕಲಿತಾರೆ, ಒಬ್ಬರು ಮೀಡಿಯಮ್ ಆಗಿ ಕಲಿತಾರೆ. ಆವಾಗ ನಾವು ಫಾಸ್ಟಾಗಿ ಕಲಿಯೋರಿಗೆ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಾ ಕೊಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಚಾಲೆಂಜ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ನಮಗೆ ಚಾಲೆಂಜ್ ತಗೊಳ್ತೀವಿ. ಅವರಿಗೆ ನಾವು ಇನ್ನೂ ಹೆಚ್ಚಾಗಿ ಕೊಟ್ಟು ಅವರನ್ನು ನಾವು ಕಲಿಸ್ಬೋದು ಅಂತ. ಆಮೇಲೆ ತುಂಬ ಸ್ಲೋ ಓದುವವರಿಗೆ ನಾವು ಅವರಿಗೆ ಅವರ ಹತ್ತಿರನೇ ಕೂತು ಇಂಡಿವಿಜುವಲ್ ಕೇರ್ ಕೊಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಇಂಡಿವಿಜುವಲ್ ಕೇರಲ್ಲಿ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಹೇಳಿಕೊಟ್ಟು ಅದನ್ನು ಅವರ ಮಕ್ಕಳಿಗೆ ಬೇಗನೆ ನಾವು ಕಳಿಸ್ತೀವಿ. ಮತ್ತು ಅದೇ ಟೆಕ್ನಿಕ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಇವಾಗ ಟೀಚಿಂಗ್ ಏಡ್ನ ನಾವು ತೋರಿಸಿ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಪಾಠ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ.
The most common question Ananya Trust gets is, How do children even learn if there are no exams?
Another important thing is we have no exams. Now people might ask, if there are no exams, how do you know how a child is doing? What was the purpose of an exam? An examination is actually feedback to the teacher. An examination is for the staff, for the adults to know how a child is doing so that the adults can change themselves, change the way they teach so that the child can learn. That was what it was supposed to mean. What it has ended up being is something different. It has ended up being a judgment on the child. The marks of the exam decide how a child is good or bad, which is really wrong. In Ananya, we don't have a need for an exam because our teacher to student ratio is really good. There are less than 10 children per teacher. On a daily basis, we are interacting with the child. Every class, we know how the child is doing. We know where each child is, what their weaker areas are, where they need to learn, where they can improve, where they can be pushed. We know on a daily basis. Then why do we need to have an exam again? While we know this, we also evolve our teaching curriculum. That curriculum is not something that is set on stone at the beginning of the year or even the beginning of the school. We keep evolving, keep changing. And our curriculum is child-centric, child-driven. We decide what the curriculum for the child should be based on what the child wants and needs. And this is something that we keep evolving. So every week we have a staff meeting, we discuss the progress of the child, and then we decide what can we teach, what will interest them, how can they grow, and figure out a path for them accordingly. All these aspects, I believe, makes Ananya very different and a beautiful space that children want to be part of.
As I left this place, there was a sweet aftertaste of the smiles and beauty this place holds. The last thought I want to leave you with is that Ananya, which means unique, does not only imply that every child is unique, but that the experience or definition of education needs to be unique and customized to every community and child. So, there is no one definition for excellent education, but it should be a definition that can mold itself around the uniqueness of a child's life and experience. So, thank you for spending a day with me at Ananya Trust. See you soon. Bye.